Senator Dianne Feinstein today, the former Senate Intel chairwoman, warned today that there are terrorist sleeper cells in America. So what's being done to protect us? With me, Fox News contributor Colonel Oliver North. Good evening, Colonel. Is Senator Feinstein right? Are there sleeper cells?
Your Honor, let me get to that question in a moment, but let me just first answer the question you put to Rick Leventhal in Paris and to Ambassador Bolton just a few moments ago, and that is, why didn't Messrs. Obama, Biden, Kerry, or Holder attend the unity rally in Paris? It's because it was only for world leaders. That's why they weren't there. Now,
okay, thank you for that clarification, Colonel.
All right, I just make sure all of our viewers knew that. Now,
yes, indeed. Well, shameful, but it's not about what I think. Yeah. Senator Feinstein in those sleeper cells, is she right?
Sure. Yes, there's no doubt. In fact, my family back in the 1980s was targeted for assassination, not just me, but my wife and children, by a cell of Islamic Jihad. The FBI, thankfully, alerted us to that. Federal agents moved us to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, then to another safe house, and eventually back to our own home, where we lived for months with federal agents, 37 of them in total. They drink a lot of coffee. Our lives were saved because our FBI was doing what we need to do to prevent something similar to what just happened in Paris. And, you know, earlier today, I listened to the interview that Chris Wallace did with General Martin Dempsey, who said that, well, we want to fight overseas, an away game.
Away games, sure.
Well, he talked about intelligence, our suite of capabilities, he called it. Intelligence, more partners, and direct action. But think of this. The United States has virtually no human intelligence whatsoever, because nowadays we kill terrorist suspects, including American citizens, by the way, with Hellfire missiles instead of capturing them and interrogating them. Second, our partners. Who are our best partners in the region? Well, it's Israel, number one, and second best is President al-Sisi in Egypt.
Exactly.
And yet, this administration has threatened both of them. And when it comes to direct action, we don't even put Special Operations Forces boots on the ground with Iraqis to direct airstrikes. So, in fact, the general has the right answers, but we're not doing it. And this administration's failed terribly to even describe radical Islam as what it really is. Well, they've been at war with us since 1993.
And you know, the Attorney General today was asked about, you know, whether or not we were at war with radical Islam. He still couldn't use those words. But let me move on from them. What do you say to those who say that the intelligence is nothing more than Muslim mapping and profiling? And here in New York City, where we suffered the greatest of terrorist attacks with the World Trade Center, that whole program, that intelligence program, was dismantled by Mayor de Blasio. I mean, do we even have a hope?
Well, look, every major city in America has what's called a Joint Terrorism Task Force. They're practically moribund today. They can be reinvigorated, and they should be. And the units like Ray Kelly created in New York City, and now de Blasio and Bratton have disbanded, needs to be reinvigorated as well, because we need to be able to keep tabs on terror suspects. It's not just mapping people who are Muslim. It is going to the places where informants have said bad things are being plotted and planned against the American citizens, against us in our country. There's another item that's I think, pervasive here, too. France had more stringent gun control than they do in Chicago. And we now know gun control doesn't work.
Well, certainly
in Paris, the first responders were outgunned.
Exactly.
There's a message in that to all Americans.
All right, Colonel, I want you to listen to this sound from Martin Dempsey today on what it will take to destroy ISIS or ISIL.
What will eventually cause the defeat of ISIL is that it will collapse under its own contradictions, frankly, when the populations in which it tries to maneuver realize that that ideology is not to their future benefit.
Colonel, what does that mean?
Well, I'm not entirely sure what he means, but I think what he's talking about is that someday some more people will stand up, as President Sisi has done in Egypt. And what we need to do is encourage that kind of thing. That takes Western leadership. And there is no Western leadership. We saw that today in the streets of Paris. We ought to be, for example, if it's correct that there are 5,000 Westerners and American citizens who could come and go out of this country. We need a better system for tracking travel records. You telling me that the country that invented the internet can't find a way to do that? But that takes somebody recognizing who is the enemy here. We didn't declare war on Islam. Radical Islamists declared war on us. And we better get on with destroying ISIS without allying ourselves with the Shiites and the Iranians, or we're going to have a whole lot worse than they had it in Paris.
All right, Colonel Oliver North, thanks so much for being with us this evening.